It seems like the world is losing its mind over the fires in Los Angeles. The fires over Los Angeles. Well, most people don't live here. And most people haven't lived here very long. And most of you haven't lived very long. Memory is very short. They talk about, for instance, the immigration policies of the Republicans and Donald Trump. America was doing that in the early and mid 1900s, even worse. They shut down all immigration from Europe for literally 4 years. It was an act of Congress signed by the President of the United States in order to keep America pure from immigrants from Europe. That was done already. And they weren't talking about the border of Mexico. You have a short memory because you don't know history. You have a short memory because you were just born or just got your driver's license. You have a short memory because your parents haven't taught you history, or you have a short memory. Well, you're not as old as your parents. I lived in Southern California for 40 years. I can tell you, been here, been there, done that already. Not our first rodeo. We've seen worse. And like a drunk, which most people are spiritually and physically, they're not going to change. They're not going to change. LA has had disasters on top of disasters. Look at the water disaster with Mulholland. Look at the broken dam. There's so much history that you don't know. Nothing new, not to mention the earthquakes. God knows the riots. Nothing new here. Nothing to see here. Been there, done that. We've already had climate crisis and racial crisis and astrological, meteorological crisis. Nothing new here. And it's the same thing. It's like the school shootings. Well, we're going to pray. Another school. Well, we're just going to pray. Another school shooting. Well, we're just going to pray. Nothing's changed. It was going to be another school shooting and another school shooting and another mass shooting. No one is intent on changing. Not going to change, are you? Well, if the Lord just does this for me this time, well, we just got to pray. Why do you believe that? Not going to change. It's not going to change. Just look in the mirror at yourself and look at your life. Look at you. Be honest for one God-given second. Stop blaming everybody else and look at yourself. And stop blaming God. It's you. You're not going to change. Are you? It's not because you can't change. You're not going to change. Because if you're really honest, you don't want to. And if you're really honest, it's your will. And you're taught in this modern world to lie to yourselves. Let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. And the only time you believe in that is when you're wearing a shirt with the Nike logo. Just do it. You're giving yourselves all kinds of passes not to do what you're supposed to do. No. And in the interim, like the 90-year-old sober drunk I met, he had already lived 45 years of his life with collateral damage on other people and relationships. And now, can he really brag about being sober for the last 30 years since he turned 60? All I want to know is, what did you do those first 40 years? Well, I can tell you about the broken marriages, the broken children, the broken friendships, the broken relationships, and not to mention all of the other people who became drunks because of his example, all the other young people who saw and he became drunk because of his example. All the other kids that saw him drink and said, I can't wait to get his age so I can do that. You know, you preach by what you do, by what people see of you. Even if you say no word, children and young people are looking at you. And in their mind, that's what I'm going to do when I get big. You don't even have to tell them to do it. Because you're called to be a light to the world, which means an example. People watch you in public. They hear you in public. They see what you do. I talked to one of my guys in Texas. He put his 2 young girls on the phone. He said, "Oh, Uncle Steve, sing that song. Sing that song that Daddy played of you singing. Sing." Well, they didn't have to tell me to do it. I was singing the song. And he said, "You should see my daughters' faces. They just lit up because I play your songs. Now you're singing it to them live over the phone. They lit up." And I said, "Girls," I said, "your father takes care of you?" They go, "Yes." I said, "You have a good dad, don't you?" They said, "Yes." I said, "He also takes care of God's work too. I'm just as grateful for your father as you are. Your father does a lot of good." You see, there's a difference in doing it and talking about it and doing it in the right spirit. A lot of you people, you sin with joy. You don't serve God with it, though. You don't give with joy and happiness. You're not dancing to share the gospel, to share the resources. You're miserable. But give yourself a cannabis or a bottle or a needle. Why can't you be a happy servant instead of a happy drunk? Los Angeles is a happy, miserable drunk. I've known the mayor here and the most popular, famous, infamous police chiefs. I've known the city councils, and I've almost known every reporter. Been on their shows, given interviews. This is a wicked place. And usually wicked people are drawn here. Unlike the man on the corner of Olympic and Crenshaw preaching on a bullhorn. No cameras. In Spanish to his community, boldly and loudly, that most of you who claim to be believers would mock and malign anyway. This is a place of people consumed with making money. This is a place of people consumed with making movies. This is a place for people consumed with making a mess. This is a place where people are consumed with just me, 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 me. Men, 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 men. Flesh, aesthetics, and dogs. Nothing new. It's been going on since the 1900s in this region. Nothing new here. Nothing new to see. Don't forget, this state took off from a gold rush, not a God rush. The West was born out of a lust and thirst for gold, not a lust and thirst for God. That includes the conquistadors and the Catholics making money off of the poor peasants by putting up the dioceses. The missions have to fund that Catholic beast Antichrist church. Nothing new here. See, I've been preaching here that long, not making money here that long. That's your field of expertise. Mine is the Lord's. Don't mock God's work as if it's less than your work, you fools. May God judge you.